UFC president Dana White was caught on camera on New Year's Eve in Mexico slapping his wife. And because of that, a lot of people are weighing in on this, calling for there to be some sort of repercussions, if you will. So I thought, what the hell? I might as well give my 2 cents for what it's worth. I'm sure it won't be the most popular 2 cents, as this is not the most popular topic that I could choose to discuss. But here we are. So just to break it down, the two are, on vacation, if you will, in Mexico, in some type of argument. There's no volume. There's no context. But we do see Dana when he's struck by his wife. And it seemed like his first reaction to that is to strike back. And he did that. And after that, a kerfluffle ensues. And it's left up for interpretation because the video is already terrible quality. And it goes really, really fuzzy after the first two initial strikes. So take from that what you will. People are calling to cancel Dana White because of this. I saw on Twitter a few hours ago where Noriega, no, not the real Noriega, but not the one that owes Rick Ross 100 favors, but Nori says Dana White's not canceled. So let's just start there. Dana White being canceled. Can Dana White be canceled? Dana White said that when the UFC was sold to WME IMG, that he was done when the Fertittas would be done. But WME IMG, they didn't buy the UFC to run it. And the best guy for the job is Dana White, whom built the company up from nothing with the help of the Fertittas.
I mean, obviously, it's never okay to put your hands on anybody. There's no excuse for it. You can't ever say, "Oh, well, this person did this or whatever." On like you're responsible for your actions, and then you're also responsible for your brand. If you're somebody like Dana White, like you put yourself in that position to be the face of the UFC, an already violent league, and then you're putting yourself under a microscope where you're held to a higher standard than just a normal everyday average person. So there's no, you have to know that going in, that you can't just mess up or have a bad day like other people, or else it's going to have more further reaching ramifications than what other people would normally have to deal with. So yeah, you gotta keep your head on your shoulders, and if you can't control yourself when you drink and open yourself to something like that, then you just got to quit drinking. Like you got to have some sort of self-control and professionalism and etiquette about yourself, to where you hold yourself to that standard that you're putting yourself at.
They are not interested in running the UFC. They're only interested in the content and the revenue that it generates. It's not a surprise. So the idea of Dana White being canceled from the UFC is ludicrous. And I won't spend any more time or energy discussing that. Moving on to the next thing I want to discuss. Just the blatant sexism. Now there's people out there saying things like, oh, well, Dana White did nothing wrong. Oh, she had it coming. That is not the stance I'm taking on this at all. I'm not taking that stance at all. The stance that I'm taking is that we are all human beings. And the fact of the matter is, nobody wants to or deserves to be struck at any time for any reason.
Yeah, and his wife too. I mean, you like I said, you there's no justification for putting your hands on anybody. So obviously she needs to, look herself in the mirror, do some counseling or something like that, and get to the bottom of why she feels like it's okay to just put your hands on somebody as well and do that, because it's all about, personal responsibility. and everybody's got to take it. So she's got to take her responsibility for her part that she played in it too, because she obviously was wrong in the situation as well. So, uh, feel bad that she got treated that way, but I mean, I don't feel bad for the way she treated her husband. So obviously, both people were in the wrong and need to do a little soul searching and try to better themselves and be apologetic to the other for the way that they treated each other.
The fact that Dana White's wife struck him is being completely glossed over. It's being completely glossed over. The only focus is the retaliation. Because Dana White should have been a man, a real man. And again, I've been listening to some of my favorite podcasts, my favorite, platforms that cover MMA. Two of the biggest, one being the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, and of course, Morning Combat with Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell. And I took a few of their excerpts, and I just want to break it down. I just want to break down what they said, because a lot of the things that they say, I fundamentally disagree with. And again, I feel like this is blatant sexism. And I don't understand the reason to name call or to cast away anyone whom has a mindset that may differ from yours. I don't understand that mindset. But I'll get to that. And but first I want to play this clip from Ariel Helwani first from the MMA Hour and break that down just a little bit. Here it goes.
First of all, I can't believe that there are people online that are actually defending Dana White's actions. I can't believe that there are fans, fighters, pundits, if you want to call that, defending Dana White. And guess what? If you don't see them, you're not looking hard enough, because they're there. Defending Dana White's actions and saying that because he was slapped first, it's all good. All's fair. Equal rights. Excuse me, where I come from, you get slapped by a woman 10 times, you walk away. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that to you feels like I don't believe in equal rights, then fine. Because to me, equal rights is treating women fairly, treating women like we want to be treated. Women get paid the same, get the same opportunities. That's equal rights. You chauvinistic pigs, that's equal rights. Striking a woman, who, by the way, is not just any random woman, because you got struck first, no, that's not how this goes. And anyone who is saying that, shame on you. It is completely, absolutely embarrassing that anyone is defending this. And you know what's even more embarrassing about it all? He's not even defending it. He's not even defending his actions. He's not even offering excuses. But you have fighters rushing to Twitter, rushing to social media to defend striking a woman, to defend striking a woman, to defend striking your spouse. What? What kind of fucking crazy world are we living in? What kind of crazy fucking sport is this? In what universe is this okay? It's not okay. And guess who believes it's not okay? The guy that you are defending. The guy that you are defending.
I just want to start by saying I think that this has largely been, like, people are largely being taken out of context, because they're not defending. Well, I'm not them, so I can't really speak for them. I know that I'm not defending the fact that Dana White struck his wife back. No, I'm not defending that. What I'm saying is that nobody should have been struck. Neither one of them. And the fact that nothing has been said about, Dana being provoked, being struck himself, yeah, he handled it terribly, is blatantly sexist. And by saying things like Ariel did, hey, where I come from, if a woman hits you 20 times, you walk away. That's us training and educating women that it's okay to hit us. It's okay to hit men. because they are a woman. And so it's okay to strike a man. And they should just walk away because they are a man and they should know better. Well, all men don't. All men don't have that self-control. I've never hit a woman in my life. In fact, I had a situation very, very similar to this. And I'll elaborate. I was at a buddy's house. A few friends were over. We were having drinks. And, you know, a female acquaintance, if you will, you know, entered the residence. Long story short, she ended up, you know, we exchanged some words. She didn't like what I had to say, so she slapped the shit out of me. Slapped the shit out of me, right? Of course I didn't retaliate. I didn't hit her back, but I was fucking pissed. I was fucking pissed. Like, what gives you the right, you know what I mean, to think that you can just put your hands on me, just have carte blanche to strike me with no repercussions? It pissed me off. I called the fucking cops. And that wasn't the most popular move. And people made fun, people laughed, but you know what? They showed up. She struck me, and they took her ass away. Happened. She was a teacher with special needs kids. Lost her job because of it. But again, people made fun, be like, oh, dude, you called the cops on her? I'm not going to hit her. So I should just do nothing at all. That is what the societal standards have told us. The societal standards have told us that it's okay for women to strike men. It's all right. Because the story will always be if the guy retaliates. That's what the focus will be. You see, Ariel says, oh, people are defending Dana White and calling them chauvinistic pigs. Name calling, if you will. Because they don't agree with Ariel's perspective. What I'm saying is that it's not okay to hit a woman. No, it's not. But we should stop teaching them that it's okay to hit us, because that's not okay either. And when things like this happen, and all that people are talking about is, hey, look what Dana did. There's no repercussions to the person that sparked this all off. The person that provoked this situation. They're not trying to cancel her. Because, is there anything to cancel? I don't know. But I'm just saying. We were all in that classroom when we were kids. There was little girls and there was little boys. And they were taught the golden rule. But somehow, now that we're all adults, it only applies to men. Notice that? The golden rule only applies to men. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Fellas, how many times have you got upset about something with your significant other, and you end up, because you value peace, you end up apologizing for getting mad because she got mad that you were upset? You know, there's a meme going around where it's got a guy on there and he's hugging his girl, and it says, me apologizing to my girl after I caught her cheating. Because it's a thing. It is a thing. You know what I mean? Like, you are a human being. Fellas, we're all human beings. And we're allowed we're allotted the same, you know, emotions and and leeway that women are, because we're all supposed to be equal, right? We're all equal. But let me go ahead. Let me move on to, because Ariel compares, he brings up Ray Rice and what Dana said about that situation. So I'm gonna run that here next.
2014, Dana White is talking about a domestic violence situation involving Ray Rice, the former Baltimore Raven. He was asked how he would handle this situation. He said, quote, "We've been human beings and letting these guys, other guys, make up for what they've done and come back. There's one thing that you never bounce back from, and that's putting your hands on a woman. Been that way in the UFC since we started here. You don't bounce back from putting your hands on a woman." End quote. He said that. That's his quote. It's on camera. You can find it. And so my question to all of you is, why does he get to bounce back?
Okay, so we're putting what happened in Mexico on the same level of what Ray Rice did to his significant other, who married him after, but that's beside the point, in that elevator. We're going to put that malicious, disgusting, just brutal strike and the dragging. I mean, I think he put her out, didn't he? He put her out, right? We're going to compare that with a slapback that likely had less ferocity on it than Will Smith on Chris Rock. I'm sorry, but there was they released, the press release where they apologized for it. Was there a hospital visit? Was anyone significantly or even remotely injured from this? No, but it's the point that he put his hands on her. Again, completely glossing over the flush contact that was made right on his chin when right across his face when he was not even paying attention. That doesn't matter, though. That doesn't matter. And we're going to compare this to Ray Rice. Ariel, this is not the same as the Ray Rice situation. This isn't even in the same ballpark. And to sit there and compare it to that is wild. I mean, there is a loose comparison at best. At best.
If you want to know what Dana White and the UFC truly think about domestic violence, look no further than January of 2019, the very first show on ESPN. Look no further than that show. Still to this day, I can't believe, and I bet there are new fans who don't even know that this happened. Greg Hardy, with his past, with his resume, with his rap sheet, with his history of domestic violence, Greg Hardy was put on the first ESPN card. That alone was shocking to me. Brooklyn, New York, Barclays Center, the big debut on ESPN Plus and ESPN National, massive. That alone was shocking to me, that they would put Greg Hardy, of all people, who had no business being in the UFC, let alone fighting on the first ESPN card in such a massive moment in the history of the sport. That alone was shocking. But you know what was even more freaking shocking? And you know what said it all about how they feel about these sorts of things? Is that they put him on the same card as Rachel Ostovich, who some 3, 4, 5 weeks earlier, less than that, was involved in her own domestic violence situation. She was the victim. She was the victim of a domestic violence situation. And they put her, this poor young woman who had to overcome that, who I spoke to a couple of weeks later, who was dealing with a lot of trauma, on the same freaking card as Greg Hardy.
Please provide me relevance. What relevance does Greg Hardy have to do with what Rachel Ostovich went through? What relevance? Because Greg Hardy has been accused of, domestic battery, domestic assault, domestic abuse, whatever you want to categorize it as. What relevance? Because she's been through her own domestic violence. Was Greg Hardy there? Was Greg Hardy the person that did it? Do they know each other? No. They're both there to do a job. They're both there to work. Donald Cowboy Cerrone called Melvin Gillard the N-word in the locker room at a UFC event. You don't think there's African American fighters that have been victims of racism? You don't think Cowboy Cerrone fought on the same cards with them or fought them or in shared locker rooms with them? Do you think they care for that? Did you bang the drum to stop that from happening? No. They're there to do a job. They're getting paid to do a job. If Rachel Ostovich had a regular job and she experienced domestic violence or domestic battery at home, and there was someone at her workplace that had a domestic violence past, do you think that they are going to fire this man or make sure they keep these two separated, whom have absolutely nothing to do with each other personally? No, because they're there to do a job. So who gives a damn that they were on the same card? Greg Hardy, who should have never been in the UFC. There's a lot of fighters that should have never been in the UFC. So that's not even saying anything. Rachel Ostovich should have never been in the UFC. I'm just saying, like, neither one of them were that good enough to stick around for any meaningful period of time. Am I right or am I wrong? Just calling it down the middle. Again, I mean, this is just blatant sexism. And if you don't agree, full-fledged with these takes, then you're name A or name B or whatever these guys want to call you. You don't think critically. You're incapable of critical thinking. No one is defending Dana White striking his wife. It just seems to be like everyone is defending her striking him or just disregarding it altogether. And all this is doing is making it our fault that women hit men. There's people out there that say things like, "You made me do this." Men and women alike. Not in that way. In the way that, as a society, we're making it seem like it's okay. Because they will not be scrutinized, and if retaliation occurs, they will be heavily scrutinized. Oh, be a man. Oh, you don't hit that woman back. You can take that. You're tough, you're big, you're strong. You can take that, walk away. Do nothing. If a woman hit another woman, battery. Or her friends would be like, "Man, hit her back." If a man hit another man, battery. Or they'd be like, "Man, hit him back." If a woman hits a man, man, just walk away, man. You can just walk away. If a man hits the woman back, call the cops. Then you got the virtue crusaders out here. They're like, "Oh, well, you know what I mean? You guys are so old school." They got every name in the book to call you if you don't agree with what they're saying to the letter. You're taking it out of context and you're out of touch because you probably have a wonderful, amazing woman at home and you don't experience the things that occur in today's day and age, and that's okay. That's fine. But we need to find a new word, because the word equality just ain't it. You notice these guys talk about equality and then immediately start talking about things that aren't equal. What is equality? No, not, "Hey, well, she hit me, so she deserves a hit. She has it coming because she gave one, so now she's got to get one." No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Stop burying these men that are weak and can be provoked and have loose tempers, who do act on impulse at occasion. Because likely these women, whom are their wives or their significant others, they know them very well. They know how to make them tick. And I guarantee Dana White's wife knows him very fucking well, a lot more than any of these people that are talking about the situation. And that is a fact. So slapping him in a public place, she probably knew how he was going to react, or at least has some type of idea. Not making excuses for it. But it seems like everyone is making excuses and putting it all on Dana. You think Dana we don't know how Dana feels still to this day. You think he wanted to come out here and apologize to everybody? No, it's about optics. He's playing damage control because societal standards says, you know what I mean? And not just societal standards. You know what I mean? Everyone's standards should say that. But it should go both ways. It should go both ways. You know what I mean? As much as people are saying, oh, Dana shouldn't have done this, they should be saying, well, she shouldn't have done that either. Because two wrongs don't make a right, and both wrongs need corrected. Not just one. Not just one. Stop teaching women that it's okay to strike men. It's ridiculous. Again, I am not saying that they deserve to be struck back, but there's something that's giving them the confidence to strike men at will in the first place. You know who hits people and name calls? Children. And you know why children do that? Because they don't have a more intelligent way to solve their disputes. And it frustrates them. It infuriates them. All they can do is yell, name call, and use violence. That's their only recourse. And so if somebody strikes someone, gender shouldn't matter. It's wrong. This is from Morning Combat.
Rarely am I speechless, Luke, in response, but it's like, what else do you want us to do? What else do you want us to say? I mean, we already got people on Twitter responding and saying, guys, great rant, but he did nothing wrong. All right, then, you know what? Like, unsubscribe, please.
Yeah, don't watch the show. I really don't want you
that's
around.
fine. That's great. That's great, okay? We may run into you on the Jan.
I'm just going to stop it there. Unsubscribe because some people don't think Dana did anything wrong. You know, if they thought that they were going to lose any type of significant traction, I don't think they would have uttered those words. Or maybe they would have. Maybe they would have taken a stance. Either way, it's just ridiculous. It's just a, hey, you don't agree with my perspective? Take a hike. It's a great way to live. That is a great way to live. I'm actually disappointed in that. But it is what it is. Like I said, don't talk about equality and then immediately start talking about things that aren't equal. Because that ain't equality. I don't know. I've been ranting here. My only point is you can't cancel Dana White. Dana White made a mistake, but so did his wife. And I think that needs to be said. I think there needs to be more accountability on both sides, not just on Dana's side because he is who he is. All right? If we want to sit here and talk about equality, then let's be equal. Not in the sense of, hey, take one and give one, but in the sense of, hey, this whole situation was wrong and both sides were equally wrong. And that's what I leave you with. Thanks for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe, of course. And until next time, do your very best to stay frosty.